It was a good year with lots of diving and the Action 4 was right there with me. So I'd say it's a perfect time to do a follow-up to my impression video I did a while back. I'm happy to report that I still very much enjoy using Osmo 4, and it is not only underwater. I would even go as far as to say that it ignited something inside me, a real interest in videography and even photography. It's funny how it went from just taking pictures and videos for customers as a dive guide, thinking to myself this only distracts me from diving, to actually wanting to go out there to make some cool clips. I just never thought in my mind this will become my hobby. But I'm only at the beginning of this journey, and let's see where it actually takes me. And if you have similar story yourself, feel free to share it in the comment section. I'd like to hear it. So what I'm going to talk about in this video. First, it has to be the white balance, manual and auto setting, and the challenges that comes with both approaches. Then I'll go through my preferred settings and why I use them. Here we look, among other things, at the difference between the FOVs. We also briefly look at some clips shot in dark, low light environments. And lastly, I want to share a few simple tips and techniques that help me to improve my underwater footage, because it is not only about the camera settings. So let's have a look at some clips shot with fixed white balance, and this is shallow snorkeling. I fixed the white balance to avoid the sudden color shifts that can happen while in auto white balance mode, and I'll come back to the color shifts in a minute. And these shots after light color grading are looking pretty good. Now the few clips from the dives I did there. Here I actually made 3 presets with 3 different white balance settings to cover the 20-meter depth range of these dives. Ideally, white balance should be adjusted on the fly depending on line conditions and depth. However, the problem is my Action 4 sits in the dive case and there's no access to the touch screen. And as you can see, these clips require more care in post-productions with better or worse results. And how about murky green waters of my local lake? Here I had only one white balance preset for the dive, and the clips ended up with colors way off. Everything is just extra green. Now the same spot, close to the platform, again with this gorgeous spike. This is now in auto white balance mode, and this looks way better. However, there are drawbacks as well. Now coming back to the color shifts, look at this sharp white balance change. It's like flipping a switch, and it flips back in a second. Here's some more examples. These color shifts can range from mild to quite drastic. I want to stress out that this doesn't happen that frequently. I have tons of footage where the auto white balance works quite nicely, but this is not flawless. In some instances I still need to do white balance correction in post, and the color shifts could potentially spoil some shots indeed. So what conclusion could I draw from this? Well, fixed white balance gives me more consistent footage, but the challenge remains that with no access to the touch screen, I'm not able to set the white balance accurately, and I have to go with whatever I have set up before the dive, which can lead to more heavy post-production color correction. And obviously there is a limit to how far I can push the colors. And on the other hand, with auto white balance, the camera does the heavy lifting for me, but it doesn't pick the right color balance every time, or it just struggles to decide, resulting in sudden, minor or even significant color shifts. For me, I will fix the white balance if I have time to fiddle with the settings, but when I'm going for a fun dive, especially to a new place, I would not hesitate to switch it to auto white balance, because I do not want to miss out on cool stuff while playing too much with the camera buttons. General settings I'm using: resolution 4K, the highest Action 4 can do, frame rate Default for me is 60. It's handy to have the option to slow the footage down, and I have also always a preset with 120 FPS ready for extra slow motion, allowing me to be more creative with the clips. For FOV, I have a few comparison shots between wide, standard and ultra wide, and this is with Rocksteady stabilization, mind you. Switching to Rocksteady Plus will result in more narrow, cropped in picture. My favorite is definitely the wide FOV, as the other two have more of refractive distortion on the side of the frame. You can see that on how the platform is bent. Despite this, I still switch to ultra wide here and there, mainly for selfie shots. I hold the camera at arm's length, and with ultra wide FOV I'm able to capture more of my surroundings. I also want to mention the combination of wide FOV with Rocksteady Plus, although I still hold a grudge against Rocksteady Plus, which goes way back to my impression video, and I still cannot explain why, but it really doesn't look bad at all and gives you this cropped zoom in view, as already mentioned, where everything appears to be that bit closer, and I think it is a viable option worth looking into. Before we dive into the shooting tips and techniques, let's have a look at some clips in dark, low light conditions. Okay, so what advice could I, a beginner video maker, dare I say so, give to anyone who's still watching this late in the video on how to get better underwater clips? Well, I start with the simplest one: volume, the sheer amount of videos shot. And what I mean by that? There's this saying, you miss every shot you not take. Simple as that. Yeah, sometimes my camera just hangs on a D-ring, but when it's in my hand, I'm constantly looking around, searching for subjects and hitting the record button. And also, once the camera is recording, even if I think the particular shot is over, I just let the camera roll for a little bit longer. The underwater world is unpredictable, and one can never know when something exciting pops up. And yeah, of course, I'm ending up with a lot of excess footage, but I learned to be comfortable with the fact that most of the clips might not be really usable or that interesting for publishing, for example. But that is fine with me, because with more clips I have, the more I found myself screaming at my computer screen in pure joy when I find these clips where I go, alright, this is it, this is awesome. This kind of seamlessly takes me to my next point, that even though I'm not hesitating with the record button, it also doesn't mean shooting mindlessly with no prior thought. I always try to come up with some interesting compositions, getting to the subject level, or capturing a glimpse of another object in the foreground to give the shot more depth, or adding a smooth, deliberate movement. And let me emphasize the words smooth and slow. Rapid, shaky movement is a no-no. Speaking of smooth movement, mounting the Osmo 4 on something goes a long way. On a handle that comes with the dive case, or those trays you can hold in both hands, or something weird and funny looking like I have myself, it's just way easier to get a smoother movement and hold the camera in different positions when mounted, for selfies or even upside down, getting into new interesting angles. Lastly, to be able to get most out of your underwater footage, learning how to color grade in one of the available editing softwares will really transform your videos, and I try to show that throughout this video. And yeah, it does require some effort to learn and understand, but when I was able to do it, so are you. I work with DaVinci Resolve free version, and I admit that I struggled a lot in the beginning with no prior experience or knowledge about color grading, nor video editing for that matter. But there are plenty of educational videos here on YouTube, and I just sat down, put in some time, pushed through the initial frustration, and even now, with only basic understanding of the software, I'm glad I did. So just like everything else in life, step by step, the result will come eventually. Before I end this video, there is a new camera sitting next to my Osmo 4, a small compact camera TUF TG7. Basically Action 4 stays my primary option for videos, and TG7 I'm gonna use for macro shots and photography. It's waterproof till 15 meters, and I'll be using it as it is at first, without any dive case or lights. I just cannot spend X amount of money on all the accessories, but I'm still very excited to try it out as soon as the season starts, and I'll be sharing my thoughts on TG7 here on my channel later on.